Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for your time that you came here to listen my presentation regarding the cybersecurity. I would like to introduce you that cybersecurity can be simple, and I would like to do it and describing all of our products which we have in Sophos portfolio. But how to introduce that security can be simple? First of all, we have to consider how your organization looks like regarding this security, what we have to protect inside our company. And first of all, what we have to protect our endpoints. I mean, we have to block for all of the users the USB sticks, application control, we have to block for them. URL, we have to apply some URL filtering. So we have all of this antivirus solution on the endpoint side, but of course we have to take care about the servers. It doesn't mean if we are talking about the servers in the cloud, on-premise solution, or we are talking about the servers which we have in some other location. This is the first key, but we have to remember that in all of the workstation and all of these computers, we have our data. And we have to also remember that we have to protect our data. So first of all, we have to encrypt all of the important documents. It doesn't matter if we have these documents on the servers or we have these documents on the endpoint side. And of course, we have to remember that we have to also encrypt our hard disk, because if we will lose the computer, also someone else can reach the data which we have directly on the computer. But also, a lot of people forget to protect their mobile devices. From their mobile devices, we have access to a lot of resources. From my mobile, I have access to company documents. I have access to my email service. So if I'm talking about protection, I mean, of course, first of all, we should be able to block and allow users to install or uninstall some application. But also regarding the protection, we have to think about how to protect our data, which we have directly on the mobile devices. If we are talking about the other side, I mean the network side, remember that Sophos is focusing on the small and medium companies, small SMB market. So first of all, we have to consider to implement some firewall device or UTM device. Inside this UTM, we could have a lot of additional function like email protection. Of course, we can have the URL filtering. And of course, for all of these mobile users, we can apply and launch the access points. And how it looks if we are talking about the management console. In this situation, we are talking only about the security. So there is also a lot of work to do from your side regarding the backup, regarding the hardware, regarding additional connectivity. So regarding only security, at this moment we have 8 consoles. So we have 8 consoles to manage all of this only security stuff which we have in our company. And I believe, and from our internal research, it looks in this way that usually all of the administrators, you have more than 60 different management consoles. So first of all, a lot of console, and yeah, this is the first thing. Second thing, if you are talking about a lot of consoles, a lot of products, I mean the security products, like endpoint protection, mobile protection, UTM, so we have to consider also the time of reaction. Time of reaction on any breach. We've seen in the previous presentation that more than 30% of the customers are not able to discover that they had a breach inside their network for more than 2 years. From internal research, around 6 months, it's the time frame which more than 60% of the customers need to discover the breach. Why? Because people usually, when they have some information regarding the breach on the workstation, for them it doesn't matter. It was only the information from the endpoint, nothing else. No one is thinking about the next steps. You remember the Petya. Petya was able to speed all over the network within a few seconds, only checking which environment we have available inside the network. So approximately the time of reaction in this moment, I can say is 3 hours, but of course it depends on the environment. And what does it mean? Also, if we have a lot of equipment in our environment, it increases the costs. The costs regarding the people which we have in our organization, and of course regarding all of the payment which we have to all of the payments which we have for all of the products. And of course, it increased the risk. Why increase the risk? Because there is no log correlation. If we are talking about SMB market, so they don't have enough budget for the security operations center. They don't have any additional budget for some external CM management and so on and so on. So also in this environment, we can say that it increased the risk. What if I will tell you that we are able to avoid this situation? And if we will consider this situation that on your left side, we are talking about the endpoint security. On the right side, we are talking about the network security. Let's say we are thinking about the UTM, so device where we have not only the firewall, not only the IPS, but also the email protection, web protection, and also you are able to manage your access point. And I will tell you that I'm able to replace all of these 8 consoles by one. Only by one console. We name it Sophos Central, and we are using this console to share information between all of the products which we have in our portfolio. In the next slide, I will tell you what does it mean share the information. We name it synchronized security. We started with this synchronized security more than 3 years ago, and we developed our approach, and I will introduce how it looks. If we have one console and we are able to share the logs and share the information between the endpoint, between the firewall, between the servers, between the mobile devices, access points, so we are able to decrease the time of reaction to maximum 8 seconds, because this is the longest time which we need to share information between all of these platforms and all of the products which we have in our portfolio. And of course, what does it mean for you as a customer? It decreasing their costs, because you have only one vendor, a lot of products from the one vendor, from one console. You don't need some additional training to manage all of these products. And of course, it decreasing the risk, because if we are able to share the information, we can apply some security awareness in our company. And what's important, if we are talking regarding the endpoint solution and if we are talking about the network solution, we are talking about the well-known company. Gartner put our endpoint solution on the right top corner 9 years ago, as I remember. So on this corner, we have only 3 competition at this moment. And if we are talking about the network protection, Gartner also put our UTM solution to the right corner 7 years ago. Also, we have 3 competition, but we have different competition on the endpoint side, and we have different competition on the network side. But we are in both exactly the same places. So we are very good recognized regarding the Gartner. And if we are talking about our products, which we have in our portfolio, of course, we are talking about the endpoint solution, about the server protection, but also additional application like Intercept X, which is responsible to avoid all of this infection. We try to encrypt all of your products. So we have a lot of products which we can implement in one environment, and we can manage all of this product from one single console from Sophos Central. And what does it mean to share the information? Imagine a situation that we have our UTM. It doesn't matter if we will replace the existing firewall or we will put it on the bridge mode. We have workstation where we have the endpoint solution, and also we have the solution which is able to encrypt all of the files which you have, the important files which you have on the computer. And how it works? If the endpoint is able to detect the infection, immediately endpoint will send information to the encryption application, and the encryption application will delete all of the encryption key. We have the files, but we don't have the access to all of these files because we don't have the encryption key. This is the first thing. Second thing, we'll inform the firewall that there is infection on the endpoint side, and firewall will directly block the communication from the endpoint, so we are able to avoid all of this. We are able to avoid that infection will try to spread all over the networks. And also, if we have this agent, and we have the firewall, and the agent isn't able to detect the infection, firewall will do this because we are checking currently all of the connection. And if you are able to recognize that we have the command control traffic, we will do exactly the same. We'll send information directly to the endpoint. Endpoint will block the process. And of course, the encryption application will revoke all of the encryption key which we have directly on the computer. And what's important for you, If we are talking, it doesn't matter if we are talking about the network where we have a lot of security zones, or we are talking regarding the environment where we have all of the users in the same network. Because what we are doing, we are also sending information to all of the endpoints which we have directly in our network, that they shouldn't talk with the compromised workstation. So we are able, first of all, isolate the computer where we have the infection, and second thing, we are able to send all of the information to all of the computers which we have in our network, so we are able to avoid that we will compromise not only one computer, but also we will have compromised all of our networks. Regarding the ransomware, it's a very important thing for you as a customers, because we are able to block that ransomware will spread in our network. This is the first thing, and of course, it doesn't matter if we are talking about the infection which are very good, which we are able to recognize because we have some signatures, but also in Intercept X we are using machine learning without signatures, so we are able also to discover traffic only using these machine learning techniques. And one thing, very important and very unique on the market, because we have our endpoint solution and we have our firewall solution, so we are able to share information not only regarding the infection, but also we are able to share information regarding the application. If we don't have application in our XG firewall, what we are able to do, we are able to send information directly to the endpoint, ask about the process, and then we are able to create another signatures, and we can create security policy in our network using only the signatures which we have. And what said Christiansen from IDC, no other company is close to delivering this type of synchronized and integration communication between endpoint and the networks and the network protection. Of course, not only IDC, not only Gartner, but also we have a lot of awards regarding the Emerger, Effitas, Gartner, Forrester, and so on and so on. So why we are doing this? Because our mission is to be the best on the world and deliver the innovate and simple technology. Simple for you, because you are able to implement very unique technology in simple way in your organization and protect your organization against a lot of threats, a lot of infection, and of course protect your users. And we are doing this through the Sophos Central. If you would like to know something else regarding the synchronized security, I invite you on 2 p.m. I have the workshop, and then I will have the technical presentation regarding our synchronized security.
You have a workshop in 25 minutes?
Yes.
That's plenty of time.
Yes, this is plenty of time. So again, thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much
You were
for the
also on
invitation.
time. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a first you should know.